Hey yo, we're getting a new Ghost in the Shell from Science Saru, the studio that put out Dan Da Dan and Devilman Crybaby and so many other things. Freaking awesome studio. They're putting out a new Ghost in the Shell anime series in 2026. And I'm thrilled. I am so thrilled. I'm so very, very thrilled, guys, because it's not just a new Ghost in the Shell anime by that studio. But it looks like, based on the artwork they've shown off, that it's going to be very, very faithful to the original manga, which is pretty wild because it took them 30 years. It took them 30 years. After freaking 30 years, only now are we finally getting a Ghost in the Shell anime that actually looks like the manga and will probably have the same lighthearted, fun tone of the manga. I'm kind of baffled now that I think about it. Like, why hasn't this happened sooner? It's kind of crazy that it took them 30 years to finally do this. Like, that's so weird. Like, don't get me wrong. When it comes to Ghost in the Shell, I am a fan. The funny thing is, I've never read the manga. I never read the original manga. I've heard a shit ton about it as far as the tone and how drastically different it is from the 1995 film from director Mamoru Oshii. And I'm a big fan of that movie as well. Like, that was, like a lot of people, as someone who doesn't read a lot of manga, like a lot of people, that was my introduction to Ghost in the Shell, was that original 90s film. It was that movie that introduced me to the character of Major Makoto, and that sci-fi setting. Like, that all started with the film for me, like it did for a lot of people. And, then we've got the anime TV series Standalone Complex a few years later. Mamoru Oshii made another movie that was also really good, and, we got more anime shows after that, and it just kept getting reboots and such. And it's just weird because, yeah, like, all of those adaptations, all of the different adaptations of Ghost in the Shell we've had since that film have all been different. They've all, like, had different directors, different people working on them. I think Production IG was involved for a long, long time, pretty much since the beginning. And they're still going to be working with Science Saru in some capacity, I guess, to help produce this or something, this new anime. But, like, tonally, when it comes to the tone, like, for the longest time, Ghost in the Shell has had this dark, gritty tone, right? Like, the original movie by Mamoru Oshii was hella dark, like, very, very realistic, very grounded, very believable sci-fi world. Like, it felt like, like a science fiction movie that took itself very seriously. Very heavy philosophical themes. Like, that movie is, it's fantastic. Like, the original Ghost in the Shell is a landmark achievement in anime. It's one of the greatest anime feature films ever made, in many respects. I love that movie. I love the sequel, Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence. And I did enjoy a lot of the Ghost in the Shell standalone complex anime, which had some tweaks here and there. It had some lighter elements to it, like the Tachikomas. The Tachikoma robots were a little goofy in that, but, like, for the most part, that series, Standalone Complex, also followed that same tone. It was mostly still a pretty, like, heavy, serious TV series, like, they never left that tone. Arise Ghost in the Shell, which came out much later and was kind of a reboot of what Standalone Complex started, that had some tweaks to it stylistically or whatever, but that was still, again, largely a very serious story with a lot of heavy sci-fi stuff. Like, again, from what I understand, the manga, while it still has dramatic elements, um, based on what I know of it, is a lot goofier. It's a lot sillier. It has a lot more like 80s anime manga style humor. Like the characters are very expressive. Makoto Kusanagi in particular is a very different character. Like she's a lot more um, silly and rebellious and playful of a character. Like she's so different, so dramatically different from the film. And I guess it's just Mamoru Oshii's style that led to the film, the first movie, just being so dramatically different tonally from that manga. Like, I guess people didn't question it. Like, it was weird because, again, when I first saw that movie, I didn't know anything about the manga. I wasn't as knowledgeable about that stuff at the time, so I didn't even know anything had come before it. I didn't really learn about the manga's existence or that it was even based on a manga until a fair bit later. But, like, it's so strange to me that it was so dramatically different. And I guess people accepted that. Like, a lot of times now when you make a big adaptation of something, of an older work, and it's not like the manga was super old when the first movie was made. It was only, like, what, like 5 years or so? Like, it wasn't... The manga was still relatively recent at that time. But if you look at director Mamoru Oishi's work, like his past work up to that point, like Pat Labor 2 was a very serious and heavy movie as well, which is especially ironic in that case because even the Pat Labor series that Oshii created, or helped create, started out as a much more lighthearted, silly show with a lot of humor. And then you get to Pat Labor 2, the second Pat Labor movie, and it's every bit as like heavy and kind of nihilistic as something like Ghost in the Shell would be. And I feel like that's just a style Oshii was kind of working on since Angel's Egg. Like he's been doing that for a while leading up to that point. I think that's just a filmmaking style that he really liked. And it did work really well for Ghost in the Shell. But the thing is, when you look at it as an adaptation, when you look at it as, this is based on the manga by, Masasume... Shit, I can't say his name right now. I'm a little tipsy. Masasume Shiro? Is that how you say it? I'm probably saying his first name wrong. I know Shiro is his last name. But anyway, that guy. That manga, like... Yeah, it's based on that manga, but, like, the movie is so dramatically different. And people praised it. People loved it. Like, that movie was a hit, both in Japan and all around the world. Like, it was a critically acclaimed, critically fucking praised movie that was a huge deal and a huge success. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm glad it was, because it was very good. It deserved those accolades, but, like, not only at the time was that a movie that was so drastically different from its original adaptation, probably because of Oshii's, tendencies and style at the time, but everything that followed, even the standalone Complex TV anime, still, like, had a lot of that darker tone. It didn't, like, they didn't try to be more faithful to the manga after that and say, okay, now that we're doing this for TV, and we can be a little goofier and we can have these characters be a little more playful and expressive, let's do that. Let's do that. They don't really do that with Standalone Complex. Standalone Complex, another, again, like the movies, great anime series. It's a good show. I do have some fond memories of it. I mean, I'm not going to say it's my favorite anime from the early 2000s. I was into stuff, especially at that time, that was more a little more humorous, a little more colorful. But I won't deny it was a very smart and intelligent series, and it was really good sci-fi. But like again, nothing like the manga. Not really. Like if you if you just look through some of the manga artwork, just the artwork alone would tell you everything you need to know. It's like, yeah, this was a very different series. And again, I'm not going to go into like a whole lot of details about the manga because again, I've never actually read it. I don't know that much about it. I don't know like I can't point out a whole lot of specific examples from the plot of the original manga. I have to do that eventually. I have to get around to reading the manga because it is supposed to be really good. But that brings me to this anime series being done by Science Saru, which for the first time ever is like, holy shit, they're actually going to follow the manga. Like, I don't know if the story or the overall narrative arc is going to be like beat for beat with the manga, but the art style and the tone is definitely beat to beat for the manga. Like, they are definitely going very, very hard in replicating that style. You can just see it in the teaser artwork. It's like, oh yeah, it's about time. Like, and at this point, Ghost in the Shell really needs that because it's grown really stale as a franchise. I mean, as much as I praised the first two movies and Standalone Complex, everything Ghost in the Shell related since then has been kind of downhill. It hasn't been that distinct or memorable compared to when the franchise started. And what better way to freshen it up again, to make it interesting again, than to go back to the source, which they never did before. It's like, which is weird, because it's like, yeah, that's kind of the trend with a lot of anime adaptations now. A lot of manga that get adapted into anime now. A lot of people tend to favor the more faithful adaptations. They tend to favor being more faithful to the original source material, especially if that original material is really, really good. I mean, look how much hell Chainsaw Man caught for not being like one-to-one with the manga in every single detail. People lost their shit over that. And that was just like visual aesthetics. That wasn't even plot based. So it was like, it's kind of weird that it's taken this long for Ghost in the Shell to get that same treatment, like that brotherhood treatment that a lot of anime, or a lot of manga, I should say at this point, a lot of manga source material just has had already. Like, it's kind of wild. It's kind of crazy. Like, the last Ghost in the Shell anime that came out is a pretty good example of what I'm saying here about like how stale Ghost in the Shell has become. Like that CG crap they released a couple of years back. I mean, I don't think it was good. I'm sure it had its defenders, but it was not very good CG. It didn't look very good. And it was just more of the same old shit. It's just more of like the same Makoto that we've known for so long. Like, they didn't try to the same darker tone, the same like it's just weird. It's weird. Why did it take us 30 years to get to this point? Like, but it's perfect because yeah, Science Saru is the absolute perfect studio to handle this. If nothing else, it was worth waiting for. It was worth the 30 years just because, a studio like Science Saru, especially with where they are now at their success with Dan Da Dan, and, they've proven more than ever that they can do an anime that has a remarkable level of colorful personality and energy like Dan Da Dan has. I feel like, yeah, we could definitely get a good, faithful adaptation of the original Ghost in the Shell manga with this studio. Like, they are the dudes to handle this. I I don't think I could have thought of a better studio. I mean, they're perfect. They're perfect for this. So, it's a great day to be a Ghost in the Shell fan. It's a great time because that series has been stale for a long time now. Like, really stale. You know, we haven't had, when you look back at, where it started with that landmark film back in the 90s to that CGI crap we had a couple years back, it's like, man, that series has fallen from grace. So it's nice to see somebody got their heads together and were like, yeah, let's revive this dying franchise. Who could we contact to help with that? How about the guys that created Dandadan, the Dandadan anime, which again itself was based on a manga. That itself is a manga adaptation, and it's a really good one. It's actually better than the manga it's based on. Like, they're a studio that's actually made manga stories better. It's the opposite of the Chainsaw Man debacle, where people were like, no, the manga was better, and Studio Mappa ruined it. Well, nobody was saying that about Dandadan. Dandadan actually elevated the manga material. And I liked Chainsaw Man. I'm not shitting on the Chainsaw Man anime. I'm just saying Dandadan was that good of an adaptation that it took a manga that was already pretty great and they actually improved it. They made the art better. They made it flow better. So yeah, Science Saru was the right studio to contact for that, because Dandadan is probably, I've said it before, probably the best anime, one of the best anime of the 2020s decade so far. It's that good. So this series is in very good hands right now. Not since Momoro Oshii has it been in such good hands. So hell, even if this wasn't going to be a faithful adaptation to the original manga, I would still be psyched that Science Saru is doing it. But it makes perfect sense that whether it was their decision to go back to the original manga or not, that was the right thing to do, because what better way to refresh this series? So yeah, I'm a happy camper when it comes to the future of Ghost in the Shell. Comes out next year in 2026. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a hit. I think it's going to be good. I have no worries or concerns about this. It's a good time. Ooh, thank God, thank God for Science Saru. They're so good. Anyway, you guys get to burning and live for the passion. Goodbye.